Well, again, everybody, it's Plowboy's Ghost Channel. I want to welcome y'all back. Say hello to General Lee. He's wearing a red suit today. I know it's Thanksgiving, but he's out early. Oh, today I want to talk to y'all about gun trading, or some gun trading that I've done. Y'all might remember back when we sat in the carport, put on a little Hank Jr. and played a few seconds of a song earlier this year, with a Smith & Wesson 4-inch Model 29 44 Magnum. Well, y'all, I told y'all to let that gun go in a subsequent video, and I moved things around enough that I ended up with trading one gun for another gun and another gun for another gun. And y'all, I have, honest to goodness, came back up with exactly the same 4-inch Model 29 Classic, 2910 Classic. That's the exact same gun that I had. Not one like it, but the same gun. It said at the dealer where I traded it off. I traded it back in for the Schofield. The Schofield's still in the house. Love it. And I had moved another gun around and come up with that Ruger Super Blackhawk Bisley 480. Y'all, sometimes I try, just like clothes. I don't like trying on clothes at the store. I know that's just kind of weird, but I don't. And I ain't been in a store since freaking March anyway. But when I used to go to stores way back when, I didn't like trying on clothes. Sometimes I get the clothes home and they don't fit exactly right, and then I got to go back. It's a pain in the butt. But, often I got something close enough that it was fine. Well, this gun, some guns are kind of like that too. Of course, you can't really get a good feel for them there in the store. You can handle them, but it's when you've lived with it for a little while, you decide that maybe this just wasn't for me. Well, that Ruger Super Blackhawk Bisley, the one that I had last year, about this time, in 454 Casull, and the one that I had in 480 Ruger, up till just the other day, y'all, that Bisley hammer and that Ruger never, ever, ever felt right to me, and it never got better. And I realized that I never carried that gun. I think I'd come outside with it to shoot it on video, and maybe one more time that I'd come outside with it to shoot it, and it really served no purpose. And I'm looking at guns in matters of practicality now, since we're in the times of reduced availability of guns, reduced availability of reloading components and ammo. So I tend to prioritize a little bit more what I think is useful or not so useful. And I felt like that 480, although I liked it, it really wasn't. I kind of want a 500 line ball in a BFR that don't have the bent down, swooped up Bisley hammer that I can't stand. I like the Bisley grip, but I don't like the Bisley hammer. So anyway, that's gone. I took that 480 and I went and got my Model 29 Classic 4-inch back. That was Elmer Keith's, I reckon, his preferred carry length for a 44 Smith & Wesson. And y'all, dude down there at the gun shop still had the same Triple K holster that I had. Did him in a trade where I traded it back for a new Schofield. So I got the whole rig back. And I had mentioned in a subsequent video that I wasn't too happy about the idea of having to worry about the strength of this, versus say like a Ruger or whatever in my hand loads. But I have found some very knowledgeable people who have had the equipment to test pressures, cartridge pressures, chamber pressures, whatever. And some people much more knowledgeable than I have tested the Keith load, which I'm favorable to. I cast at RCBS 250K, which actually weighs about 261 grains with my lead, and the 22 grains of 2400 powder. And you can get on forums right now and Google this, and you're going to find about 500 posts with people who act like they know, that are actually just internet parrots. Oh, that's too much, the powder's different, and all this other stuff. You're going to blow apart this and blow apart. I found somebody that has tested it tested that load with current Alliant 2400 versus the old Hercules 2400, which, by the way, there's not much difference between them, no more so in pressure-wise, burn rates, whatever, than normal lot-to-lot variances between the same powders. So in other words, you're not going to find a Alliant 2400 that is any more wildly different or dangerous than old Hercules 2400, no matter what anybody says. And he did the test on 22 grains of 2400 behind that bullet. Might have been the Lyman bullet. I can't remember. I think it was the RCBS. And come up with a pressure is still below the maximum or the mean whatever pressure, the top pressure for 44 Magnum. It's still below that. And then I find people who have been shooting the older Model 29s with that 22 grain load behind that Keith bullet, have been shooting it for years with no problem. So, and I've still got a bunch of those loaded up at 22 grains, the Keith load. And I may end up doing it at 21 grains just for a little, of course the other was safe. I may do it at 21 grains just so I don't wake up thinking about it no more. I don't know. However, they're not as daggum weak as some, of course, especially the new ones. The new ones, you know, I know they're not as collectible, but the newer ones, you know, that are built tougher to start with, you didn't have to go back and add endurance packages. This has the benefits of all of the strengthening and reliability improvements that Smith & Wesson has discovered and made to the 29 line since its inception. This is about as strong as a Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum gets. Matter of fact, it is as strong as a Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum gets. And it's made to shoot, you know, full power 44 Magnums all day long. The Keith load is a pressure consistent with Sammy's spec. It's below the maximum pressure, and it should be shooting. It's able to shoot it all day long. Now, I don't care anything about shooting my 310 grain load out of it. I got the Ruger Super Blackhawk in there for that. And I don't know what else to say about it. You know, I still ain't shot it for y'all on camera, and you know, ain't got my finger on the trigger, so don't be freaking out, YouTube safety police, because it is loaded. Pointing it at y'all, not at me. And I still haven't decided to go out doing a lot of shooting, even though the other day when I went over to a local reloader supply in North Alabama, central part of North Alabama, about 70-something miles away, I did look up and find another 900 to 1,000 large pistol primers to go with what I already had. I wasn't out, but I was being conservative. And now I feel a little better, but I still don't really want to shoot much. I got lucky the other day and found an online retailer that I order reloading stuff from a bunch that had some once fired 44 Magnum brass in stock. Normal price, $20-something. Ordered 300 more pieces of that to go with what I have. When they eventually ship that, and when that comes in, because it was in stock, it's out of stock now. When it comes in, I'll load them up, but I'll probably just sit on them. I also looked up and found some small pistol primers the other day. Had loaded up a bunch of 38 Special for my mother and my stepdad. Speaking of doing some trading, I told y'all I was looking at matters of practicality. A while back I had let go of my muzzle loading long guns. I did this before unrest. I did this before the election. I did this back pretty close to when Virginia was having a lot of trouble internally, you know, in the state government and stuff, and I was looking down the line and thinking that's, well, you know, if I find myself, when I was looking off in the future, thinking about this past election, I thought, well, if things go south and go sour, and I find myself with a couple of high-dollar muzzle loaders, I'm probably going to wish I had something different. So that's why I ended up with a couple of ARs I don't really care that much about, but I understand the utility and the usefulness of them in certain situations. We'll just leave it at that. And I don't regret doing that. Later on, I can get other muzzle loaders if things calm down, go back to the things I like. Now, I've kept my lever guns. Matter of fact, lever guns might be some of my first choices and shit to hit the fan scenarios, or whatever you want to call it. In some cases, yeah, lever action is going to be my first choice. Might as well go down with style. I'm going to go down anyway. I can't run. Somebody said, you know, that people advocating Civil War who can't even run a mile. I don't know that I can run 100 yards, and I sure ain't advocating Civil War, but I don't plan on running. I know I'm going to get took out if it comes down to it, but I'm going to go out with style and take as many people with me as I can. Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, matters of practicality and moving things that I don't think are necessarily as practical in these uncertain, are they really uncertain? They might be a certainty of problems. Might not overcall them uncertain. But y'all, I did something that I kind of feel bad about because I was attached to it. That 36 cap and ball Griswold was my last black powder gun. And I had a chance the other day to sell it to someone who gave me all of the money I had in it, plus bought what I had to go with it to load it. And, you know, on top of that, for enough that I had money left over after going and buying another cartridge gun that I think is a little more practical. Enter another Taurus 605 357. This was an unfired, although technically used. This was an unfired gun that after selling that a used cap and ball pistol, I had money left over, and I bought this from a dealer. My wife, she's not really wanting to shoot much of what I've got. I think the smallest thing that I've got that fits her hand or anywhere close to it is that Bulldog 44 Special, and the 44 part kind of intimidates her, even though I've tried to explain to her that I've got some reduced power loads that still don't want to shoot it too bad. Of course she would in an emergency, but now the last 605 that I had that I did a video on, she teased and called it her 38. Well, when I let go of it for something else way back when, that I don't even remember what it was, I've kind of felt bad. I've kind of felt guilty about it ever since. So whether this is my 357 or her 38 doesn't really matter. It's not going anywhere. If she wants to shoot it, I hope she will. She will shoot it. And I know that in an emergency she won't be panicking about what's in her hand, and she can focus more on what's in front of her. She shot that other one that I had quite a bit, and she liked it. Fits her hand good. Y'all, it don't have the romance of the cap and ball pistol, and y'all know I love single actions. I've still got a bunch of single actions in there, you know, from my snake gun, the man with no name, to, you know, my Schofield, my a Remington. I've still got, you know, a couple of Colt clones. I've still got my Super Black Hawk 44 mag that was my dad's. But I've done a couple of double actions. We can live with that. Once again, practical usefulness, utility in these times. And I hope we don't need them, but I'm getting more and more convinced that, you know, of course, things, when it gets down to a snub-nosed revolver making the difference between life and death, you're in a bad spot. But it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. We will discuss some politics here shortly. Not in this video. It's coming. I've tried to gather my thoughts, and every time I've had my mind set on the way that I want to present my thoughts and my feelings about it, it's been too windy out here. Something's been going on. It'll come together. Might come together here in a few minutes. Y'all, I appreciate you watching. Hit like, subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching.